Hello YouTube, XJ1911 here again. This is actually a comparison video between the Troy TRX Extreme rail and the Troy TRX Extreme Alpha rail. Pretty much the differences of how it installs onto the rifle. Basic differences right now. The regular Troy TRX Extreme rail clamps on. You slide it on over the barrel nut and you clamp it down with these two screws. With the Alpha rail, you insert it the same way as you would with a regular Extreme rail, but with this one there is three, I would say, tension screws, which it doesn't clamp onto the barrel. It clamps on with pushing pressure to the back, to the teeth of the barrel nut. There's one over here at the, I'd say, 10 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and the 6 o'clock position of the gun. I'm getting ready to show you how that actually installs. Pretty much the main differences I would see is insulation. The clamping style right here, you slide it on and it clamps on. You can push, I'll show it to you here with the white background, make it clearer. When you slide this on, you can push it as far back as you can and clamp it. As you notice, there is some, but there's barely any gap between the upper receiver and the actual rail. With the Alpha rail, there's a significant gap that you can see between the upper and lower receiver, the upper and the rail, actually, because for the fact that when you install the screws, the blocks that are here behind the screws that are in the rail actually push tension on the barrel nut to a groove that's in here inside. I'll show it to you on the inside here in a moment, but when you tighten up the screws, it pushes onto the barrel nut teeth and pushes the rail forward to make it lock. That's why there would be that gap right there on the upper. Now you have to tension these three screws to the same specs, or to the same force or pressure, to make the rail, straight and level, compared to the regular TRX Extreme where you just clamp it down. Now the main difference is installation. You have to remove the stock barrel nut for this and put the Troy TRX barrel nut to make it fit. With this one you can use any milspec barrel nut. Pretty much just cut off your delta ring and install this, and that's all it takes. That's why Troy came up with this one for an easy installation. Solid wise, I think they both are going to be solid, but just from my personal experience with building that and between this, I would say this is more of a solid setup compared to the Alpha rail. There's really, it's probably just as strong, but it takes a lot more adjustment on this one to make it straight. And if you're like me, there's going to be that gap between the rail and the upper receiver, which this one does have it, but that's because it won't push back anymore. The next video clip coming up is going to be of the insides of the Alpha rail. Alright, I'm getting ready to show you the insides of the TRX Alpha rail. As you can see, there's a locking block, 1, 6 o'clock position 2, and a 3. Alright, you can see the groove in there pretty well. There we go. You pretty much slide this over the barrel nut, lining up the grooves. It's going to be in a canted position. Once it hits that groove on the inside, you can see it right there, that groove on the inside, you turn it to lock to, behind the grooves on here. And that locking block, when you tighten it up, pushes onto the teeth. Well, pushes on the edge here of the delta nut and pushes the rail forward. And that is how the TRX Alpha rail, TRX Extreme Alpha rail installs and locks onto your rifle. If you can see that. Yeah, the holes on the locking blocks are at an angle, and just pretty much when you tighten it up, it pushes the block back towards the rear of the rifle. locking the teeth onto that groove here on the inside. And that's pretty much why there was that gap between the upper receiver and the rail. Now it doesn't do that obviously with the regular TRX, just for the fact that you push this in and you clamp it down. So, well, that's my take on between the Troy TRX Extreme and the Troy TRX Extreme Alpha rail. Hopefully that helps in deciding whether or not you install your rifle with one or the other. But then again, the installation for the Alpha rail is pretty simple and easy. All you had to do was take out your delta ring and delta ring spring and slide this on there. Now, tightening it up, you just got to make sure that you have the same pressure in all the screws, checking your alignment with the upper rail every time you tighten it up. But other than that, I really see no other problems in it, other than that gap between the upper receiver and the rail. Now, I would say the regular Troy TRX is probably stronger, since it's just one band that's clamping. You know, the whole back piece is clamping onto the barrel nut. It would seem more solid to me, but you know, I haven't really. I won't be doing testing on the Alpha rail, as it's just a hit the fan rifle for my buddies. But then again, it's a comparison review between the Troy TRX Extreme and the Troy TRX Extreme Alpha rail. If you have any questions or comments, just let me know. I'll have this gun here for maybe another day or so. So post up. Thank you. I was at the end of the video already, but I saw a main difference too that I just now noticed between holding the Alpha rail and the regular TRX rail. Actually, I noticed it a couple days ago. I was like, why does the Alpha rail seem rough to my fingers down here at the bottom? Well, here's why. TRX Extreme regular rail, this is smoothed out. The whole bottom section all the way up the rail is smooth. None of this little grooves here. The bottom portion of the Troy TRX Alpha rail has that groove pattern all the way around the rail. It's not smooth out here at the bottom, and that's one main difference that I really noticed. You know, you can actually tell the difference, but texture wise, that this is rougher, and it does have some sharp edges right here compared to this, and I noticed it since I held the TRX Alpha rail. But that's just one little difference other than how it's installed. Alright, thanks for watching. Leave your comments.